Hey, okay. Ugh, it's like 3 weeks and I suddenly don't know how to do shit anymore.
It's okay. It's been a
Goodness.
while.
Goodness gracious.
Really
Oh boy. So this Helldiver
has.
thing.
Yeah. So
Wild.
did he tell you what was going on?
Yeah. Cause he
Cuz I
said
can't.
because he said that Steam at that point when he was telling me it was like 9 o'clock at night. He said that Helldivers on Steam got like 15,000 negative reviews.
Yeah, and I don't really I hate when people review bomb for stuff that's not directly gameplay related. It just doesn't seem to me like a productive way to get your point across. But yeah, Sony, or I guess the developers were like, we want you to have an active PlayStation profile attached to this game now, suckers.
Like womp womp. Now you have to
Too
have an
bad.
account with us. Goodness gracious. It was like
Yeah.
I listened to Ken tell me this last night and I was just like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Why would they require you to make an account after like months? Well, when did Helldivers come out? Yeah, like a couple months of players just enjoying the game as is without the account. It's like Sony's trying to track them, and it's
Yeah, I'm not really
freaking
sure. The
weird.
developer put out a statement, but I haven't read it yet, so I'm not sure if it was just an apology or if it was actually an explanation of this is why I did it. I'd
No,
have to go back and read it to see.
don't mind me. I might just
Yeah.
sketch a couple more things on
Yeah. Well, um in other news, really the only other thing that happened while we were gone, um
my.
also Sony related. Sony's been doing a lot of shit. They're trying to buy Paramount.
Eh.
Yeah. So the movie arm of Sony, so not video game arm, but Sony Entertainment,
Okay.
uh, is trying to buy Paramount for a stupid amount of money. Um, and they're in a bidding war with I forget the other parties. Um, it's like $26 billion they're trying to spend on
Oh
Paramount.
my gosh!
Yeah,
I wish I had $26
because I
billion
guess
dollars to
Sony that
spend.
kind of money just land. It's an all cash offer too.
Are you kidding me right now?
No,
I had what?
all cash.
What? I
Yeah.
I would love a $26 billion offer, all cash, because even with the taxes, I'm still looking at a comfy life. I could even start my villain arc.
Shit, that could be your villain arc.
Yeah,
This is the shortest villain arc of time.
right. Jeez.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. There's a plot twist to this one though, and I don't know if
Oh,
it's going to go through because there's apparently this lady
plot twist.
um, who's on. I don't know if she's on the board of Paramount or she's just in the ownership group, something like that. And the people responsible for overseeing the sale of Paramount have a problem
Oh,
with this lady. So
oh.
there might be drama with
As if
this
there's
one
not
later
already
on down the
drama. What
line.
are you talking
I
about?
I know. I know.
Well, have fun.
Yeah.
How very fun.
So Sony might own a lot more IP in the future.
It's like Disney. They like gotta
It
own.
kind of is. Yeah, it's eventually it's going to be Sony, Disney, Google, Amazon. They're just gonna
Which
own
is
all of it.
which is so funny because in our country, monopolies.
Monopolization.
Thank you. Monopolies are illegal,
Yeah.
which I find
Oh yeah,
hilarious because there's a whole
this is
ass
gonna
game.
get somebody's gonna look at this one too. The FTC is gonna take a fine look at this one.
Well, Jesse, it is
Mm-hmm.
5 after. Shall we get
Okay.
started?
Yes, let's go.
Oh gosh. All right, hang on. I got 2 windows and they don't want to cooperate with me. Welcome back,
man.
everybody, to the panel protagonist. I'm Melly.
I'm Jess.
Gosh, it's been 3 weeks since.
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah, I kept getting invited to places, and then I kept accepting going to places, and I couldn't stop. And I get a little break here, but next week I won't be here, so I'm glad to be back though, especially on Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you, Jesse.
May the 4th be with you also.
And to top it, to start off this wonderful stream, or I guess like this entire stream, for Star Wars Day, we will be talking about my favorite Star Wars animated television series, The Clone Wars.
Yay.
Oh, I gotta say, I have so much shit to say.
Yes, I know you do, which is why my notes are very abbreviated, because I know you'll just kind of fill in the blanks for me.
So, everybody, in past streams we did do guessing games, but not today because everybody can see the sketch and know immediately who is
and what's happening.
Huh?
Who it is and what's happening.
Yep. So there will be no net guessing game because of this.
So for context, it's been probably 10 years, maybe not quite 10, since I watched the Clone Wars, and I've just started re-watching the series.
How dare.
I'm only on season 2. I'm about a third of the way through.
Have you never finished the Clone Wars? Because I gotta say that the last episode of Clone Wars was in 2020.
Oh, maybe I didn't see. I knew there were 2 final seasons. Maybe I never watched them.
There are 7 seasons in total.
Yeah, I knew that.
And yeah.
They were short, right? They were shortened?
They were shorter. I wouldn't say they were short. They were shorter.
Maybe I never... Well, anyway, I'm re-watching them. I know basically what happens in them. But like, maybe I never watched them.
I know what happens. Things happen and people go through certain things in life. As I'm over here trying not to say like it hasn't.
All right, another thing that we're going to do different today is I am not doing a breaking news segment.
Which is a disappointment.
Because I know this stream is going to run long. And B, because that segment itself usually runs long. So I'm going to try a little experiment, and I want you all to bear with me. So if you don't like it, let us know. But I'm going to
get out.
No. I'm going to actually do the breaking news segment in the 5 or so minutes that we run before the stream actually starts.
Which is why
so if you guys get here, so if you get here before 3:05 Pacific time, roughly, you will hear the abbreviated breaking news segment. It might run a little bit long depending on what's going on, but that's what we're going to try and do, just to keep that segment shortened up for time reasons.
For time reasons. Okay.
Yep. That's my plan anyway. We'll see if it works.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Where do we want to start? Oh, okay. Here's where we'll start.
Yeah.
If you are not ingrained in the Star Wars culture, or
My goodness.
not caught up with anything beyond the movies, A, what are you doing here? B, welcome. We are not talking about the movies. We are
No.
talking about the animated Clone Wars series. Also, to be very clear, we are not talking about the very bad animated Clone Wars movie, although it will be mentioned very briefly.
Wait. Are you talking about like when Ahsoka was first introduced? Or are you talking about the
Yes.
early 2000s?
No, I'm talking about the movie that kicks off the series.
Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of people who didn't like that. I was very indifferent.
I did not like it.
Yeah, I can
but we're gonna
definitely tell.
Yeah. So, the series The Clone Wars, if you didn't know, takes place between episode 2 and episode 3, and there's some overlap with episode 3 for obvious reasons. Yeah.
Obvious.
And even if you haven't watched the series before, most of the main players from the prequel movies are there. So most of the names we're going to mention today will be familiar to you if you have seen those movies prior to this.
Yep.
So, general introduction aside, where shall we begin? Do you want to begin with lore building?
You start off, and I will build upon that.
Okay, so in the 7 seasons of the Clone Wars, the show does an awful lot of building out of lore that the movies don't have enough time to expand upon in their roughly 3.5 hour
way
runtime.
Too long, I think.
Yeah.
To try and expand
yes, it would have taken way too long, and things that might feel awkward or you have questions on when you're watching episode 2 or episode 3, they'll probably have an answer in the Clone Wars
There was a
series.
lot of because when you watch episode 3, especially 3, there was a moment where I questioned like what happened to the clones. Did any defect, or those generalized questions they don't answer in the movie is actually answered for the most part in the series, which is so nice.
Things like was Anakin's turn to the dark side really just a slight by the Jedi Council, or was it something deeper? Things like that, or was it just a combination of he couldn't take Amidala's separation from him.
Wait,
plus,
hold up. How did you say her name?
Amidala.
Oh my god. Okay.
That's how you pronounce it.
It's Amidala.
No.
Yes. Watch the Clone Wars.
Padme.
Fine, Padme. Can we just? That was so weird. Don't ever do that to me again.
So let's start with him first, then, shall we? Let's start with Anakin first, because he is really he's maybe the character that gets the most fleshing out in the Clone Wars as a whole.
Yeah.
There's some argument there that one or two other characters get more than he does, but he gets an awful lot of character development.
When you think about it, it makes sense that he would actually get the most screen time, because this is technically the Skywalker saga.
Yes.
So
I mean it's the preceding moments of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
It's the beginning, you see the formation of
beginning of the end.
What would become the Skywalker saga. And really all of the events that occur in the Clone Wars series um, give some sort of enlightenment to what ultimately led to his downfall, right? His decision to turn to the dark side and his how do I say it? Uh
You got this. I
his
believe in you.
falling to the his falling to the dark side, his succumbing to Palpatine's
Evil ways.
yes, temptations. Right. So it wasn't just that the Jedi Council kind of ticked him off. And it wasn't just that he
No.
couldn't be with his wife, although the Padme thing was a
Catalyst. It was a catalyst.
yeah,
For
because
sure.
when you watch the Clone Wars as a whole throughout the series, you get this feeling that their relationship doesn't do well. Is that a fair assessment?
Uh, yeah. Especially in Clone Wars, you can definitely see it.
Yeah. It gets steadily rockier. Um, and she, in particular, becomes quite agitated at not being paid attention to, I guess,
I wouldn't say that. I
or
think she just. I don't know.
prioritized, maybe would be the right word. I mean, they both have their own task duties that they hold as important, but I get the feeling, at least when I watch it, that she more than he wanted to prioritize their relationship.
Mm, I would respectfully disagree.
Okay, well, that's the beauty of having two different opinions on a show like this.
Yeah.
Um,
This is one of
and then
those
of
things where I would have been like, you could have an opinion and be wrong too, but it's really like a it's one of those things that you have to pay attention to and really like uh look at it from different angles, and it's just it's a it's very subjective, but to me she felt more duty driven than she was about her relationship with Anakin.
part of that is true. I'm going to be real honest. Padme kind of got on my nerves for a lot of the series because she flip flopped. I felt she flip flopped a lot,
Well,
and I mean, Anakin did too, but his character was supposed to be selfish, um,
I
and
mean, honestly, she was a little selfish too. Like, you can see
yeah,
that in the show as well.
yeah, definitely was.
Mm-hmm.
She just got on my nerves.
she put you on your
Ultimately, that's what it
nerves.
was. But then it's not just Padme, and it's not just the council kind of
We don't talk about the Jedi
uh,
Council.
pissing him off. It's
There was a lot
everything the
of different.
council did to Ahsoka.
There was a lot of different factors. So what happened to Ahsoka, I also believe was just a catalyst. It wasn't like a lot of the influence from Anakin and why he descended to the dark side came from Palpatine's influence. Like most definitely from his influence, because Padme and Ahsoka were both like his voices of reason. They were there to help him bring him out of like whatever irrational thought he had, especially when it came to Padme. But when you bring Palpatine into the mix, that's his like I mean, Obi-Wan was his mentor, his brother. You know, that was family for him. But Palpatine was much more than that. And I wouldn't say that Palpatine was like family for him because he absolutely wasn't. But he was the
But it's
teacher that,
definitely a mentor.
yeah. So he was definitely the teacher and the mentor that Anakin thought he needed. Not necessarily wanted, but needed in these times of not unrest, but like uncertainty and doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Because I cannot imagine, except for maybe the Jedi Council, because obviously there's some plot holes with that. Um, especially in the later seasons, the Shroud of the Dark Side on Coruscant was so huge. Like, it would have been a blatant smack in the face. And Yoda has mentioned a couple times that, like, oh, the dark side is here, but it's everything's clouded. I can't really tell, which is true. But the fact that he even mentions that the dark side has some influence over Coruscant, like, that should have been something that, you know, the Jedi Council should have caught. And I'm sure Anakin knew for a fact that there was some form of the dark side happening on Coruscant in a very unusual way. And that's probably why he also deferred to Palpatine a lot. Was because anytime he would bring it up to the council would write him off because he's too young.
Yeah.
So, and
oh, we didn't sense it. You must be wrong.
Yeah. So the only one who actually listened to him and like gave him an opinion that, you know, he needed at the time was Palpatine. And Palpatine knew that Anakin wasn't getting the recognition, and because he mentions it in the movie too, wasn't getting the recognition and the like attention that he needed as a very powerful Force user, and that's what Anakin was, a very powerful Force user.
Yeah.
So props to Palps, I guess. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, so let's go now to Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan, unfortunately, as much as we both love him, was part of the problem for Anakin.
Yeah.
And the show really depicted not the best version of Obi-Wan. You know, the prequel movies show us a version of this, especially when, you know, on episode 3, when all the shit goes down, that obviously he hasn't done his job right.
And the sad part is that Obi-Wan knew that, especially in episode 3, that he didn't know what he was doing wrong. And you can, if you pay close attention to the Clone Wars, you can actually see it too, where he's like unsure of how to deal with Anakin, or like if he's even like training Anakin correctly and all of this and that. It's very heartbreaking to see that.
Yeah, and the sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
So the fandom has definitely built out Obi-Wan to be like this kind of figure of Jedi perfection, right?
Jedi
but he's
knowledge.
Definitely not. Like, again, as I said, just as we love him so much, he's a very flawed figure.
And it makes for great character development. Like, I'm not saying, like, I love him any less for what happened, because honestly, if any of us were in his position, we might not have seen it either.
You know? Oh, well, I mean...
Okay, Jesse, you can be all, like, wise.
No, I wasn't saying that. I was like, I've never been in a war, have you?
Oh, no. But that's what I'm saying. Like, we've never been in a situation in which we would... You know, especially in a war, you wouldn't really, like, think about that kind of thing, especially when your pupil is going through some heavy shit, because you have to concentrate on the war more than you have to concentrate on the well-being of other soldiers, I guess. And I don't know how I want to put this.
Mm-hmm. Well, even outside of... Sorry, you were going to finish your thought?
No, you're good.
So, outside of what ultimately befalls Anakin, Obi-Wan kind of messes up elsewhere. I mean, he has that moment of weakness with Satine, where he kind of forgets himself. And, if things had turned out differently for her, you do have to wonder a little bit, would something similar have occurred to Obi-Wan that happened to Anakin? I mean, would he have chosen to stay on Mandalore or around Mandalore?
I mean, honestly, he probably would have.
Probably would have.
I wouldn't put it past Obi-Wan to have done that. And when he was with Qui-Gon, if it had happened and he actually did walk away from the Order to be with Satine, Qui-Gon wouldn't have blinked an eye about it.
Would have been a discussion. I think Qui-Gon was one of those Jedi who probably ultimately would have let him go, but would have attempted to remind him of his duties as a Jedi first. That's just my opinion.
So this is not from Clone Wars. This is actually from Tales of the Jedi. But I'm gonna wonder if you've seen all of the Tales of the Jedi, right?
That's the first one, right?
When he's with Dooku.
That's the first.
I think it's the first episode. Yeah.
Not the new one. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. So you can see, and I rewatched it actually really recently because I wanted to watch this part. But Qui-Gon's face in the Tales of the Jedi, you can see where he kind of has that face of doubt, especially when it came to the senator's kid and like what happened on that planet, which I think was.
Oh, hang on, my refreshment is being delivered.
Wow!
Yay!
Just interrupt
Thank
my
you.
Monologue over here.
Yes, I
let me
totally
get my
did
sippy
interrupt
sips
your monologue.
Sippy sips. I hate you.
Woo!
How dare you rub it in my face?
For everyone who's listening to stream right now, it's Derby Day, and I've just been delivered a delicious mint julep.
Ew, mint? Disgusting.
Yes.
You're gross. Anyway, so
Please continue.
where was I?
Sorry.
I lost my train of thought because you were having
Sorry.
nums, and I'm over here like, damn it.
I ruined everything.
Oh my god. Okay, so back to Qui-Gon. Okay, so Qui-Gon, we're talking Tales of the Jedi still. I got drinkies. That's exactly right, Aaron. That was exactly what happened. Anyway.
Yep, that was what happened.
Qui-Gon has to face a doubt in Tales of the Jedi, which is like the first couple episodes or something like that. Might have been a little bit later than that. So he has this face of doubt, right? And he's already questioning things. Just like Dooku started questioning things. Because at that point, Dooku was like, F the Jedi. Like, they're such hypocrites. Which, honestly, Dooku, same. I also feel like that. But Qui-Gon started to have that notion, that doubt, that uncertainty. Even in Tales of the Jedi, when he was still considered to be an apprentice or Padawan, I guess.
Yes, I think I agree with you. Qui-Gon was ahead of his time, and he was very, very mature as an apprentice.
So,
in that he did see that.
So I don't
even. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. My bad. I keep interrupting you because I'm so.
It's all right. We keep interrupting each other. It's all good.
So the whole idea that Qui-Gon would have talked to Obi-Wan about it if Obi-Wan was super serious about leaving the Jedi Order for Satine is absolutely right. I think they definitely would have had a conversation about it. I doubt it would have been more on the you need to do your duty as a Jedi so much as it is like you need to really consider these choices because it will impact the future, especially since you want to be a Jedi Knight. And that is your dream, your goal. So you have to consider that if you do this, that dream and that goal is no longer going to be there. So I think Obi-Wan would have had that, and it's probably the discussion they've had. I've never read the book, because there's a book about this, not like that particular situation, but just like Obi-Wan as a Padawan going through all these motions, because I'm sure Mandalore was in there. I haven't read the book.
There's several books of dozens, maybe, of Obi-Wan as
Obi-Wan as
as an apprentice.
So yeah, it would make sense that Qui-Gon would have this conversation. So yeah,
You might be right. I think you have a point. So that's a good transition then to talk about Dooku and Grievous.
Ooh.
Because the show gives an awful lot of backstory to the two of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And where you don't get nearly as much for Grievous in the movies.
No. Not nearly as much.
You get a little bit for Dooku, but
you get
Grievous
more from Dooku in 2. When you
but like, Grievous just kind of is there.
Dark side.
Yeah, Grievous just kind of pops up, and he's this general that wields 6 lightsabers, and you're supposed to fear him, and that's it. And then he's got.
He just hoards a collection of lightsabers that he gets from like fellow Jedi Knights, and it's great.
Yeah. But
he's
the
so
show.
Unhinged.
Yeah, oh my god, so unhinged. But for a good reason, though.
But you definitely get to figure out why he's able to like wield the lightsabers and go up against a Jedi Knight and be able to have the power to kill one. Because Clone Wars spoilers, I guess, from 10 years ago. Grievous used to be a Jedi Knight.
He totally used to be like a flesh and blood alien with a totally different name. Grievous is not his name.
No. Totally not.
And oh man, this poor guy. If he wasn't such a jackass, you would feel for him.
He was an interesting fellow.
Yeah, I think both of them are interesting fellows, and I think they're
for sure.
They're, would you call it a rivalry or would you just call it hatred?
Oh, for one another?
Yeah.
It's how would I describe that awful relationship? Rivalry.
Okay, because I'm like, I want to call it hatred, but I don't
think it was maybe despising one another.
Okay,
they definitely
spite.
Didn't like each other for sure.
Yeah,
they hate.
Spite. I can work with spite. They just, you get so much more flavor text. For the two of them, and I'm gonna throw in there also Ventress. You get a lot more flavor.
You meant to say Bay.
Okay.
That is Bay, okay?
You get a lot of
that name.
All right, fine. I'll let you talk about Ventress then.
Oh no, you talk about Ventress. It's okay.
You just get all of this. Uh-oh.
Yeah?
No. Am I still watching this channel? Yes. Don't cut me off.
Wow. Just like
Peacock was like, we haven't detected that you're here anymore, so we're gonna cut you off immediately before the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby.
I'm shaking my head. You can't see it, but I'm shaking my head at you.
I believe you. I can feel it from here through the force. Where was it? Ventress. You get all this really good backstory.
So good. Oh, it's so good.
For the three of them as a whole, about how Grievous became this amalgamation of parts that he had to take unwillingly.
A good way to describe Grievous.
And you learn why he's got this disgusting cough constantly.
Ugh.
and why he's always pilfering lightsabers from his defeated
From
Jedi
his
enemies,
victims.
and then you get this really good backstory for Dooku and why he doesn't really like working with Palpatine,
I
but
mean,
he's doing it anyway
to
at the
be
cost
fair,
of
I don't
yeah.
think he ever liked working with
No,
Palpatine. Like,
no, he doesn't.
ever.
And actually, in one of the books, I think it's revealed that he's actively trying to sabotage Palpatine.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
You can see it
yeah.
in the second episode, like the second movie, too. That he's been
Oh
trying.
gosh, it's been a while since I've watched the second movie. I might have to watch it again to refresh myself.
Oh my god.
But there's a oh, I don't remember the mission.
What do you mean? Can
He
you?
goes on this particular mission.
Is it the Dathomir?
Mm, no, this is a book thing.
Oh, then
Yeah.
good luck.
Oh.
Shit. Ah. I hate when I do
There was a oh shit, there was a nobility involved. I don't remember it.
that. Nobility
Um
involved.
anyway,
Wait,
he yeah.
is this the senator's kid?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't remember there being because that was in the show, right?
Yeah, that was in Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah. Okay, this was still a book thing.
Okay.
This was like post Order 66. But like just barely. I think.
I am unsatisfied with this.
Anyway, you kind of get to see the inner workings of even the other Darths don't like Sidious / Palpatine,
No,
and
because
Dooku is it. Yeah, go ahead.
Sidious had a how am I gonna describe this? Sidious wasn't really for the Sith code.
No, he was for himself.
Yeah, because the Sith code has what do they call it? They have their own it's like the Jedi code. They have their own words are escaping me. Not rules, although there are rules too, but that's not the word I want to use. There's shit, I don't even know. Help me out here.
I think code it works fine. They had their own sort of standards that they were operating by.
So, and Palpatine, like if you really watch the show, like you really pay attention to the way he like acts, to his actions, to his planning, you can see that there's very little to non-existent like Sith going on. Like he just doesn't follow the code like it's supposed to be. And that's why he's just evil.
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 Yes, no, he definitely does not stay with the code that Darth Plagueis establishes before Palpatine's time. He's got a shadow apprentice basically the entire time he's a Darth.
Yep.
He wants to live forever.
Yep.
And he does his bestest to try to live forever, which is a major, major plot point towards the end of the Clone Wars and throughout the entirety of the Bad Batch.
Oh, yeah. The entirety of the Bad Batch.
Yeah, the entirety of the Bad Batch, which, in my personal opinion, is something that Dooku really, really hated.
Oh, yeah. Because it's like the Sith Code doesn't understands that there's a time in which you're done. Like, you're done in the mortal plane. And
yeah.
Sidious is like, oh, hell no, I want the Fountain of Youth. What are you talking about? And I'm going to achieve it because I know I can, because I have the political power to do so. And with this political power, I'm going to use it and make everybody else suffer because of it.
Dooku and Grievous both were incredibly smart people.
Oh yeah.
And before they both turned to the dark side, they could have been something great.
Oh, they could have been
And
masters.
they both, yeah, they both unfortunately, fell to the dark side, and then became just pawns. Grievous more so, but Dooku just despised being a pawn.
Well, I mean,
and then of course he did it to Grievous, which wasn't a good thing.
It's hilarious, but but yeah, exactly. It was. This whole show was a masterpiece, honestly.
Yeah.
We could literally go on for days about this, but we probably shouldn't.
No, we definitely shouldn't. And Ventress,
unfortunately,
very similarly, she didn't like being a pawn either.
Well, I mean, yeah, but the problem. So the thing with Ventress was that she was also pretty young, right? So she was naive.
Very young.
She was very impressionable. Dooku was everything for her because Dooku was the one who brought her out of Dathomir to be his apprentice. And Ventress is very she very much loved her home planet. She loved her sisters, she loved her people. So to be taken away from that and then, still allowed to be in contact with them even though technically she shouldn't have been.
Wasn't supposed to happen. Yeah.
She is a Sith, so we don't really get enough lore of the Sith code, I think.
Well, we're about to get it.
I know.
The Acolyte premieres on the 4th of June.
Yes.
So in exactly 1 month.
Finally.
Yes, I know.
Because, when you first... I don't know what the chatters or, people here watching. Lisa, have a good... Okay, sorry, I was just
reading chat. Jar Jar in the chat.
But I don't know what you guys grew up with. I grew up with the prequels. Even though I did actually watch the original trilogy when I was a kid, I was too young to understand what was happening in the original trilogy. So I didn't really grasp the amazing world of Star Wars until the prequels came out. So love me, hate me, I don't care. But
and there's an awful lot of people like you, so yeah, it's fine.
But it's just you grew up believing that the Jedi were this all amazing, good side, light side people. They could do no wrong. But when I grew older and all these shows came out, the more movies came out, I realized that's not the case at all. And in fact, it's far from it. The Jedi are hella flawed. Hella flawed. Yeah. I'm gonna say it again for the people in the back. Hella fucking flawed. Especially when you read the Jedi Code. It's got hypocrisy written all over it. I'm very passionate about this. Can anybody tell?
I can tell. Are you still on the soapbox, or can I take you down now?
No, you can take me down now.
Okay. That was a main theme of the show, is that the Clone Wars in its entirety were painted at the beginning to be this good guy versus bad guy, good versus evil, Jedi versus Sith thing. And then throughout the show... I
agree with you.
Yeah.
In the chat.
Oh, yes. Throughout the show you learn that, it's not that way at all. And the movies, again, like I said at the open, really didn't have enough time. They tried.
Oh, yeah, they definitely tried.
Yeah. They didn't have enough time to fully...
firmly grasp it in your hand.
Firmly grasp it! They didn't have enough time to to paint that as a full concept. But there's more than enough time throughout 7 seasons to do that, and the Clone Wars definitely does that throughout all of the episodes, especially the later ones, like
you know what the sad part
season
is?
4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah. You know what the sad part is about all of this? I'm about to break people's hearts right now. There was supposed to be a lot more lore and character building in the Clone Wars, but they got canceled, and that's why there's only 7 seasons.
Well, I recently watched a short little documentary about that,
Ooh.
and there wasn't a consensus as to why the show was canceled.
Oh.
But a lot of people think Disney canceled it because it was getting too mature to place the show on Disney XD.
I apologize. I need an adult. Me too. If you guys hear a lot of like banging going on in the background, it's hailing.
Oh.
So.
Oh my.
I apologize.
So instead of snow, you got hail.
Oh no, it's just. Is it just rain? No, it's just giant blotches of rain. I'm sure there is hail coming because it always hails when it storms. So I apologize if it gets noisy in the background. I'm hoping my mic doesn't pick it up.
Oh no, your mic is picking it up. I'm sorry.
Oh well, damn. I apologize. It's only gonna. It's only okay. Okay.
Yep.
Now it's
by the way, that's a great reminder to everyone. Melly is the one hosting. So if we drop stream,
let me just
don't worry.
A little bit. Not good streaming. Thank you for being flooding. My goodness.
Are you in Texas?
I think further north. If there. Oh. Yeah, maybe.
It's flooding in Texas.
I'm trying to remember who this is.
Oh.
If it is who I think it is, then yeah, definitely further east.
Okay.
Anyway,
let us continue. Let's see.
Where were we? Because I lost track.
It's okay. I got it. So, the show did a very good job of portraying the preceding events of of Order 66.
Well, that's 66.
And we all know what happened with Order 66, because it was the entire point of episode 3.
The entire point?
Well, okay, it was one of 2. It was one of 2 points of that movie. That movie wasn't meant to be good. It was meant to do 2 things. Show us all the clones killing people.
Younglings!
And show us Anakin killing a lot of people.
Oh my god, the amount of darkness that was in episode 3, there was no way they could have, like, made that a children's show.
Oh no.
Like, no. That was not a children's show. Like, even Clone Wars borderlined, especially in the later seasons, borderlined, not a children's show. And Bad Batch, not a children's show.
And yet Disney bought it and aired it.
As a children's show, like...
I know.
I'm not talking, like, PG or anything. I'm talking, like... I mean, not G. It was PG. I'm not talking.
It was rated PGV, which is a rating I've never heard of before.
PGV? What the hell is a V stand?
It's a TV rating thing, apparently.
But what does the V stand for?
I don't know.
Jesse, it's supposed to be
I've
my own.
Never bothered to look it up.
Never bothered. It turned into later. Okay.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
While you do that, can you tell me what one of your next topics is? Or just like...
Yes! Because we now have to talk... Sorry, go ahead.
If we talk any further, I'm never going to stop, and this stream will have no organization. It's just going to be me spewing shit about this show.
We have to talk about Fives.
That okay, listen, that's traumatic for me. I don't want to talk
Look,
about anything traumatic.
people who never watched the show don't know who Fives is.
He's an amazing
But
clone.
he was
There's a
critical.
huge fandom just for him.
I know, and he was critical, so that's why we have to talk about him. So, Fives was
my boy,
a member of what's called the Domino Squad. He could have been a Bad Batcher if he'd had lived. And Fives was the first clone to discover what Order 66 was.
Before Order 66 actually
happened.
Yes.
Yeah, so he discovered the faulty inhibitor chips.
Yes.
That had the command on them. And he attempted to tell everyone, the people that mattered, and nobody
AKA
believed him.
Rex, Anakin. Rex and Anakin for the most part.
Yeah. The only person who believed Fives, unfortunately, was Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Which saved her butt and Captain Rex.
Yep.
And that was it. But it could have saved a shit ton of people.
Could have saved everybody else. Everybody else. But they didn't want to believe that it was true because, then it would... You were essentially saying that the Senate wasn't what they were. Or who they were. Or even the Jedi Council wasn't who they were. And so, of course, Anakin wasn't going to believe him because... that's saying, oh, Emperor Palpatine is evil, and then you bring up a whole bunch of other shit, and yeah.
So, Helper, some of the troopers subconsciously had an idea of what this was, because in the show, I don't know if you've watched it, but in the show, a lot of the clones, some of the clones were having dreams of something they called the mission. And they didn't know what it was, but ultimately it would be revealed that the mission was Order 66. So some of them did know, they just didn't know what it was. They had a feeling that something was coming. And then, of course, Fives figured it out.
Yeah.
To no one's great benefit except for Ahsoka and Rex.
Yeah. It was wild to me. So the I guess this is technically not from Clone Wars. It was actually from Tales of the Jedi. There was an episode in Tales of the Jedi where Anakin was like, you need to learn how to dodge and deflect blast bolts from people. From, instead of droids. And Ahsoka's like, I'm never going to use this because no one's going to turn against me. And then, boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Was useful.
It was incredibly useful. It's the one thing that saved her.
Yeah. Didn't save a whole bunch of other people. That's
fucking right.
So the Clone Wars as a series has really just a small handful of what I would call main characters. Anakin and Ahsoka are one pair. Obi-Wan.
Nope, that's two.
And then the clones have several that I would group into one, because the Clone Wars animated series does a very good job of painting, I don't know, a half a dozen or so clones as individuals, which is something that I think that series really set out to do. That these clones aren't just, even though they're legit clones of one person, they're their own person.
Oh yeah,
they're not all
this show was
Jango Fett.
amazing in giving the clones personality, because the movies never showed that. So there was no you didn't really relate to the clones in the movies. And that was one of the things I like asked myself about the movies was like, well, obviously because you see the relationship between Cody and Obi-Wan in episode 3, right? So or season this third movie, Revenge of the Sith. You see that, and it made me go, I like there wasn't enough screen time for them to give me a an accurate depiction of their relationship. And so the Clone Wars gave you that, and it was so amazing. I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really great to, and then when they further on they come down the line in other shows and you're like, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy." Like when
That
those
guy.
three show up in Rebels.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh yeah."
I remember
They're
you
not just
guys.
3 clones that look nearly exactly the same and they're voiced by one voice actor,
Oh, right.
which by the way is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. He's yeah,
Amazing.
amazing. I'd love to meet him someday. Someday.
Yep.
Someday. Maybe.
The last thing I wanted to mention about just the wider show as a whole is that it was allowed to explore genres, right? Whereas the movies are one genre. the TV show is a lot, episode to episode. It could be an action show, it could be a mystery show, it could be just a straight up sci-fi show. There were 2 episodes, which are my favorite, that were just silly, fun, C-3PO, R2-D2 adventure, like a buddy comedy.
I am not surprised.
Look, they were fun. Here's where I'm going to ask you a question now. Do you remember what your favorite episode is?
Yes.
What is it?
It is the last episode of season 5 where Ahsoka leaves the Order.
Ah, okay. I thought you might say that. That's a pretty good one. And I have a couple, because I can't pick. One of mine is that one.
Yeah.
And one of them is the aforementioned buddy comedy. Do you remember there's an episode where C-3PO and R2-D2 go off on their own little adventure, and they land on this planet where C-3PO is massive, and the aliens on the planet are tiny?
I vaguely remember that because it reminded me of the Jack Black movie.
Yes, okay. So that Jack Black movie was a rendition of Gulliver's Travels, and I thought it was hilarious. And it was Star Wars being allowed to be silly and fun.
It showed the, this is a kid's show aspect of the, it was this is why we're a kid's show right here.
Yes, a Lilliputian planet. I don't remember what the aliens were called, but C-3PO was gigantic.
It was funny.
Yes, it was very, very funny.
That's all I remember from that episode too, is that it was funny. Yeah.
Well, I mean, nothing.
I don't know if I have a funny episode I liked.
Oh. I mean, it was a serious show, so they didn't have a whole lot of funny episodes.
They had a lot of funny episodes in the beginning of the series, because you can't just jump to drama right in the beginning of a series. I mean, you could, but it would my fave episode was the last episode of season 5 where Ahsoka left the Jedi Order. And in fact, if we're gonna get real technical, it was that 3-episode arc that was my favorite. It was so emotionally profound for me, because I cried. I cried, and I went, this is why Anakin made his full descent. Like, this was the catalyst. This was the peak. From here on out, it's downhill. It was so well written. I loved that whole, yeah. Yes. It was amazing.
Aaron, I'm really glad that they don't go to the Weird Horse Island because I can't pronounce the Weird Horse Island, so
That colorful,
we can stay off the Weird Horse Island. Yeah. I had a thought in my head and now it's gone. Sorry.
that has happened so much during stream today. Like, I'm kind of ashamed that it's happened at all during stream today, but it did. It's happened. But that's okay. Like,
sorry, guys.
It will come back. There's other things we could touch up on as well.
So, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, my thought processes are like...
Oh, okay. Okay. So, other than the people that I've already mentioned, I had a whole list, but we've just kind of naturally mentioned a whole bunch of these people already. There's some other cast members that get some character development outside of the people that I've already mentioned. Darth Maul is one, and he gets a quite a long arc.
I loved his arc so much.
Yeah, he gets quite a long arc in the middle of the... pretty much smack dab in the middle of the show.
You know what's funny is that I hated Darth Maul since episode 1, but then when they brought
I
him
think
back,
you were meant to. Yeah, you were meant to.
Yeah. But then they brought him back, and I was like, why did they bring him back? That's stupid. And then I, like, watched it more, and I was like, oh my god, this is beautiful. And then, like, he's also one of my favorite villains.
Yeah, I think initially they brought him back as a device for the Night Sisters thing and to introduce that planet.
And it's so funny.
That whole cult he was running and the Mandalore, the Siege of Mandalore at the end.
I forgot the name of the cult
already. But it just became its own...
It was
beloved.
It was so
section
beautiful.
Of the show.
Because you watch it. Okay, you watch it for the first time and you're like, oh my god, he's so unhinged and blah, blah, blah. Yes, he's very unhinged. But you had to look at it from a different perspective. Because if you watch it again and you pay attention to some of his mannerisms, some of his words and, like, his allegories and shit, you realize that he's very calculated. And I don't know about you, Jesse, but I love my calculated men, okay? When they can
I mean, I think that's the blue Martian that we love so much. I think that's pretty obvious.
Hey, you put respect on Thrawn's name, okay? But, like, it's so beautiful the way that they wrote Darth Maul, because you just thought he was just like an apprentice to the Sith. He's like evil, blah blah blah, which he is, absolutely. He follows more of the dark side Sith code than a lot of others that I have seen. And I know there's, like, a lot of other Darths out there in the galaxy, but I don't have enough knowledge of their lore to, like, make that comparison, that accurate comparison. So I'm just going to talk about Darth Maul more. But it was beautiful. It was so well done. It was...
Aside from the fact that he couldn't let go of his multitudinous defeats.
Oh yeah, he had a giant ego.
Yes, he was a fairly pure follower of the Sith code. Right up until he tried to overthrow the entirety of the Sith by starting his cult and attempting to lead the Mandalorians on a grand old adventure.
Oh, you mean a wild bantha chase? Okay.
You know, other than that, who am I watching right now? Sorry, I'm just watching the final turn of the Derby.
We are trying to do
it's gonna be real fucking close. Oh my god, photo finish!
Guys.
Wow. I don't even know who that was. Three horses, photo finish.
I'm gonna have to go up to Oregon and, like, kick someone's ass right now.
Listen here, y'all. I'm halfway through this mint julep. I'm feeling pretty good.
Is it alcoholic?
Of course it is, honey. It's got bourbon in it.
Oh, I had no idea.
Dream drinking.
This entire time?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway.
Casually drinking.
Oh my god, it really is a photo finish. Holy shit.
I mean, you said
that's
that
gonna have to be a
like 5 times.
slow-mo, like,
We're trying to talk about Star Wars.
Look, I have been so conflicted all day. I have all my Star Wars shit on. I'm wearing my lightsaber earrings underneath these headphones, which is very uncomfortable, by the way.
Why are you...
And I got my Star Wars watch on, my Star Wars hoodie. The only thing I'm missing is Star Wars socks, because I don't have any. And
you know what Star Wars I'm wearing? None.
Derby Day 2, so what am I what is a horse girl supposed to do?
Yeah, Jessie, are you a lightweight? She shouldn't be with how much she actually drinks.
No. It's bourbon, y'all. It's good.
Oh,
had one last night, too. Anyway, let's move on, shall we?
You did.
I had to test it.
I gotta test my whiskey consumption, my bourbon.
All right, the only character we haven't really talked about, although I've mentioned her, and we've talked about her like a ton, over multiple streams, is Ahsoka.
Considering I have like multiple artworks of her, yes, let's talk about Ahsoka. Finally!
Yeah. Let's talk about Ahsoka, because Ahsoka gets introduced in the very bad movie that I mentioned at the start of the stream.
Yep.
And she's a fresh face that if you've only ever watched the movies, you'll be like, who the fuck is Ahsoka?
Yeah, especially when the Ahsoka live action dropped. I'm sure there was a lot of people who hadn't watched the shows at all who were going, who the fuck is this?
She's never once mentioned outside of the animated shows until we get to the live action Ahsoka series. If you've never watched the animated shows, you will be so lost as to who Ahsoka Tano is.
Yep.
Because the movies never even mentioned that Anakin had a Padawan, period.
Mm-mm.
So, up until this point, you just kind of assumed that Anakin was a Padawan this entire time.
Yeah. Which is funny because he was actually technically a knight.
Yeah, he was technically a knight. And he was technically a general in the Clone Wars. And you didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
Who would have known? Jess needs to win this derby to buy more horse stuff. I can't have any more horse stuff.
Can you just focus on Star Wars?
Nowheres to put it. I was reading chat, okay? God.
The helper's not helping?
So, the Clone Wars series really does a service to Star Wars fans who maybe don't understand that for very good reasons, because Star Wars didn't tell us that
didn't tell us jack shit.
Anakin was trying to teach somebody while there was a war going on, and also while he was also the one being taught, which is a bad combination for learning how to be a Jedi. And all the while he's, sitting there having these conflicting thoughts about the Jedi Order and does he even want to be there? And it's all kind of rubbing off on Ahsoka, who is also picking up these vibes, right, from Anakin.
Vibes. Not the vibe.
maybe this war isn't such a good thing. Maybe the Jedi aren't such a shining example of, uh, morality.
Yeah. And the
And
sad part is that she didn't start questioning it until after they were like, "Oh, you're being tried for sedition. Good luck."
well,
And then they left
not.
her to like deal with that on her own.
I feel like she had inklings of it before that. There were a couple of missions where I feel like there was a pause in some of the things she did.
Oh yeah.
But yes, I think she didn't take a real hard look at anything until that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And when she finally like came to the realization that this was going on, and the Jedi weren't exactly knights in shining armor, it was very hard for her to come to that, and especially even harder when she realized that this wasn't what she wanted for her life, and she didn't want to be part of the problem because at that point she thought the Jedi were a problem. Because why would the Jedi send Padawans into the front lines of war?
Ducky.
Hello, Ducky. A father who never had a father. Yeah, for real. And so
Yeah, she was under the impression that the Jedi were peacekeepers, that she was a peacekeeper. And how could they be peacekeepers if they were going around, committing
war crimes.
war? Yeah. And especially in the later seasons, season 5
Oh yeah, season 5
really is where
is
everything kind of went down for her.
Oh yeah.
And she saw all of the symbology, the imagery of what the Republic became really come to life, and all of a sudden there's clone troopers outside of the actual battles, and there's like drop ships everywhere, and there's just
That's true, but it was the front lines of the war. There's combat and then there's war. And to me
yes.
that's different.
Yes, and to her it was different too.
Yeah.
So I think
when
those
she
two
was young,
things
she was
together.
arrogant, and that's the one good thing about Ahsoka. First off, for anybody in watching and not really like, they only watched it once or they don't really like Ahsoka, so they didn't really pay attention. Ahsoka was created by Dave Filoni. Like, that was his one character that he created that gained so much popularity because she has one of the best character developments through a show. I mean, not the best, because there's obviously better, but Ahsoka had such great character development in this
Hers
show.
was pretty good.
It was so good. She went from a naive, arrogant little girl to pretty much being wiser than a lot of the Jedi Masters that were actually on the council. At least in my personal opinion.
And then you see her come back in that, was it the 7th season was her final arc, or was it the 6th?
It was the 7th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know is that where she does the farm stuff, where you see her come?
No, that's actually in Tales of the Jedi.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was after Order 66.
Now I'm conflating the two. Now I'm mixing them up, which isn't good. So she comes back, and her and Anakin have like this really awkward meetup where they're very obviously two different people.
Oh yeah, you can see it.
And she's so different.
Oh yeah.
She's like super mature.
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't feel like she's his apprentice anymore.
Oh yeah, no, and Anakin felt that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what really hurt him, was that he felt it, and he just felt like he couldn't do anything about it anymore because, well, she wasn't his anymore. Or like,
I mean,
his student, I mean.
at that point, he had really started to fall under Dooku's spell, and so it wouldn't
Palpatine.
have. Sorry, I said Dooku.
You did say Dooku.
My bad. Palpatine
How about
spell.
you lay off the bourbon until
No, it's almost done.
Oh my god! How big was that cup?
8 ounces. It's an 8-ounce cup, maybe 6.
Oh my god! I don't know what to do with you. I'm never gonna let you live this down, though.
Go with it. It's fine.
No. Just no. How dare?
All right. Last point of the day, and then we'll go home, and I could get another mint julep.
Who said we were done?
I did.
That's rude.
This show has served as a jumping off point for Dave Filoni and company, because they really did a stellar job with the Clone Wars. In my opinion, it shouldn't have been canceled, and I think a lot of people feel the same way.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
There was
not have been canceled.
Sure. I don't remember if it was a Star Wars celebration or if it was a maybe a San Diego Comic-Con, but the one where he announced the last 2 seasons of the Clone Wars, and it was like hashtag save the Clone Wars or something like that. I don't know if that was exactly it, but it was something like that. And so many people, watched this show throughout their early childhood or maybe early teen years and wanted this show to stay around, at least to conclude some of the storylines, because we kind of left some of the plot threads dangling.
For sure.
And
I like this drunk Jess. Oh boy. The sad part is that I don't think she's drunk yet.
Nope, definitely not. And so this show could have continued. It probably out to, I don't know, 8 or 9 seasons, you think? Because they dropped a couple of arcs entirely.
For a while, at the very least.
Yeah. And it was, in my opinion, the best example possible, ultimately, of Star Wars surviving outside of the medium of theatrical release movies.
Oh, yeah.
Because up until that point, that's all we had was theatrical release movies.
And when you think about like other shows that have like something similar to this type of thing where they have like the theatrical movies and then they have shows, it doesn't survive nearly as well as Star Wars has.
Yeah, and who knows if it would have been different if Disney hadn't
canceled their
purchased it. It probably would have been. George was going to have to retire at some point, like everybody does. But would Kathleen have... I know. Would Kathleen have done as good a job if she didn't have the oversight of Disney was
she going to be...
She's the president of Lucasfilm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me sad.
Yeah, it makes a lot of people sad.
I mean, she could be a lot worse as... Yeah, but...
I mean, I don't know. The writers group that Kathleen Kennedy heads is responsible for the 3 sequel movies, so... You tell me if it could be worse.
Well, okay, so listen. There's a lot of people who grew up with the sequel movies who love the sequel movies.
Yes, okay.
Just like how the people who grew up with the prequels love the prequels.
They're so bad.
Oh, the sequels?
Yes, the sequels. The sequels have their moments, but they're not awesome.
It's just the writing was pretty bad, I think.
The writing was not up to par.
And it kind of
Anyway,
sucks because there was a couple great actors, other than the
yes,
original actors from the original trilogy, that were actually
yes,
really
there were
good.
that. Yes, that they had some redeeming qualities. I'm not saying the whole thing was shit.
No, I'm just, but like the writing, but
Yeah.
it sucks because it really is just like our opinion about it.
Yes, it
Because
is.
people are gonna love it, people are gonna hate it, people are gonna have very strong opinions, and all of them are valid. Okay, if you like the sequels, don't think that we're trying to invalidate you because we don't like the sequels. You're very valid. Like, you love the sequels, fantastic. I love that for you very, very much, because that helped you like love the universe, and I'm all here for it.
You get into Star Wars is all good.
Yes. So I just personally didn't like it because I'm very critical about writing in shows.
Anyway, what I was getting at is this sort of led to what we have now with Star Wars, because we wouldn't have Dave if the Clone Wars didn't happen. Because Dave got hired to do the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And without Dave, we wouldn't have Rebels, we wouldn't have The Mandalorian, we wouldn't have Ahsoka, we wouldn't have all the upcoming projects that we're about to get, although one of them might not be something we want.
Wait, what project is that we don't want?
Oh, you know that upcoming one called The Skeleton Crew?
Oh,
The one with...
Oh.
Yeah. The one with...
Your wrong opinions, I suppose.
Jude Law.
Vaguely. Very, very vaguely.
Yeah, I'm very pessimistic about that one. I'm optimistic about The Acolyte.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait for The Acolyte to come out.
Yeah, I'm very pessimistic about Skeleton Crew.
What Skeleton Crew?
We shall see. I mean, maybe it'll surprise me. Andor certainly took me by surprise. I really like Andor. So, I don't know. We'll see.
I'm very like on the rocks about Andor, to be honest with you. I wasn't
really
sure how, I wasn't sure how I felt about it.
Oh, yeah, Andor. It took me a second. It definitely was
it definitely had its moments.
Yeah, it was a 2-watcher for me, similar to how Rogue One was a 2-watcher for me to really kind of appreciate its merits.
Yeah.
I really had to watch it 2 times, and really it wasn't until we got to season 2.
It's because season 1 took forever, like building up. That's the problem I have with Star Wars, is that they're building up shit they shouldn't be building up. I will talk more about this when we do our Bad Batch.
Okay. I think you're correct. We will compare notes.
Okay.
Okay. But my point was, the Clone Wars had to happen for all this other stuff to happen.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, we
otherwise,
have the other shows without the
Clone Wars. Otherwise this whole train would have stalled. And we would just be left with
the ever like continued, to be honest, because
they would have kept making movies.
Well, okay, they would have. Okay,
yeah, because that was their bread and butter as far as they were concerned.
Yeah.
And the books would have continued to happen, and the
books would have continued to happen regardless.
Yeah, and the graphic novels would have continued to happen, but outside of that, none of these shows would have ever existed without the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
that's the Clone Wars ultimate test of survival.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, as an aside, for anyone who hasn't watched the Clone Wars yet, but you are interested in doing so,
Highly recommend.
highly recommend. There is an option to watch just a few episodes per season. You can go out to the interwebs and look up the recommended and essential arc episodes
Yeah.
for the entire series, and it cuts down the watch time pretty significantly
Yeah.
to, I don't know, maybe 4 episodes per season. And you'll get the hard hitting plot points of each season.
And all the emotional trauma.
And all the emotional trauma. There's a lot. I will admit, there's a lot from seasons 4 and 5.
Yeah.
But that's because that's where a lot of the stuff takes place.
Mm-hmm. That is when everything starts going down.
Yeah, but if you want to parse down the episode count, I would recommend that you do that if you're feeling overwhelmed by the sheer number of 7 seasons.
Sheer number.
Yeah, there's 22 episodes in the first 5 seasons apiece, and then I don't remember how much is in the last 2. You'd have to tell me, because apparently I didn't watch them.
Goodness gracious. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could continue to talk a whole lot more. There's details upon details upon details that we did not touch upon, but it's now 4:30, and I want another mint julep.
Stop me when I'm getting to my ultimate power.
Well, like I said, we can continue to talk if you want. What else would you like to talk about, Millie? I didn't talk about the Mortis gods yet.
Oh my god. No, we gotta stop. There's a point in which I have to stop stream.
Have to cut it off.
Even if
okay, well, guys, thanks for coming out. I know it's been a while since we streamed, but
it's been 384 years.
Life happens, and Melly had some cons to attend, and I had some
cons to attend.
and I had some medical procedures to attend, and Mel's got another con next week.
Yeah.
So we will not be back next week, although we totally wish we could.
Yeah, we
would absolutely. We would do 4 weeks in a row of Star Wars shit. Easy. So easy. Like there's no contest. Like it would have been so easy to just continue. Absolutely no contest.
Oh god.
What were the stupid YouTube emojis thing is in the way of that last word. What were the pros she attended? What cons did you attend while we were away, Mel?
You're really gonna make me list all of them. Shit. I think this goes back to March, actually. There was Safari Days. There was the Spring Vendor Fair. There was Anime Con. There was how come I'm forgetting all of them? Anime Fest, Anime Gathering, Asian Fest, they're all blurring together. I went to a small pop-up at a store, which was great, by the way. Probably made more money there in that 4 hours on a rainy day than I did at Anime Fest. Shit, I don't know.
Well,
Vintage Days. Yeah, I can't believe I forgot
Vintage
that
Days. That was the last one.
No, it wasn't. It was the last one was Asian Fest.
Oh,
that was the very last one I did, and that was Saturday. That was last Saturday too.
Okay.
Next week will be Lodi Comic Con in Lodi, California, at the Lodi Grape Festival's grounds. So if you're in the Lodi, California area, come by the Grape Festival grounds. This is like several years of cons I have been doing. It is a very good con. It is only for one day, and it's finally finally on a Saturday. I hated when it was on Sunday because I never had time to recover before work. And so if you're in the Lodi, California area, come visit. There's a lot to see. I know there's a lot of things that go on at Lodi because they are a moderately sized convention. So if you are following us in our Discord server, which, by the way, has a brand new name. It is no longer called the Panel Protagonist Discord server. It is now called Confab Corner. It is centered around more of the community and the conventions I attend, which is why it's called Confab Corner.
Haha,
So,
we were being clever.
We were doing a play on words and everything. It is where you could get all the updates on where I will be in the wild, as well as funny pictures and flavor text from when I'm actually there and I'm bored and I need someone to talk to.
Loads of memes, gaming industry news, all that good stuff.
And there's still doodle times. I have reduced it to once a week because I did start my full-time job again for this season, so there won't be nearly as much energy for me to do 2, but there will still be 1 doodle time a week in which I do live art. Come visit, come hang out, and let's just goof off. There's also game night and watch parties, and they're very fun, including the Pokemon bot game that we have on our server, which is both competitive and wholesome. Don't ask me how those mix, but they do. So
but they are.
Definitely come join the Discord server for all of those fun things. You also get sneak peeks to new artwork, including artworks I do during stream, like this one of Ahsoka holding Rex's helmet. So you can see all that fun stuff before it goes on social media. If Discord's not your thing, though, follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Melzlog. I do also post where I will be at conventions on those sites, so definitely follow me there if you want to come find me in the wild. I have been in the wild consistently this year, so it might not actually be that hard if you are in the area. But yeah, so that's all I got. Jesse, you ready?
Yeah, just one thing. Since we're going to be gone next week, we will definitely return on the 18th. If you guys are emotionally ready, we'll be talking about the Bad Batch.
Get ready.
Mel!
You thought I had a lot to say about the Clone Wars. I have a lot more to say about the Bad Batch. And
Mel might not be ready for the Bad Batch. Just saying.
No, I'm very ready for the Bad Batch. I think that's the problem, is that I am so ready to talk about
the series just ended, so we'll have a lot to say. If you haven't watched the series finale yet, definitely watch it before you join us for the final stream, because there will be spoilers.
Yeah, I will be posting up a spoilers tab for the next stream, just in case, for those of you who haven't watched the season 3 or even all of Bad Batch. Definitely come. If you want to come, just know that there will be spoilers, because I have absolutely a ton of things to say, especially about season 3. So, yeah, just if you come, you're coming at your own discretion at this point.
Your own risk.
Your own risk. It's your own discretion, whatever. Words. I'm not even the one drinking, and yet I can't do words. But yeah, so we are not going to be here next weekend, but the weekend after. So look forward to our Bad Batch stream on is it the 18th?
It is the 18th.
On the 18th of May. And with that, Jesse and I will bid you all adieu. Okay, you ready, Jesse?
Ready, let's go.
The panel protagonists out. Bye.
Bye.